My name is Chloe Harrison. I'm 29. 3 weeks ago, I was sitting alone in my tiny one-bedroom apartment, eating cold leftover pizza straight from the box, when my phone lit up. My brother texted me, "Don't come to my engagement party. You'll shame me before her family." I wasn't planning to go, until he told me not to. The message arrived at 7:42 p.m., lighting up the screen like a flare. "Don't come to my engagement party. You'll shame me before her family." No greeting. No explanation. Just that. I read it again, slower this time, hoping the words might rearrange themselves into something less blunt. They didn't. My thumb hovered over the screen, but I didn't reply. What do you even say to a sentence like that? A brother telling you you're a liability, a walking embarrassment, a threat to his perfect image. The room felt smaller than before. My apartment was never large, but that night it seemed to shrink around me, pressing questions into my ribs. Why now? Why this? What version of me did my brother think would shame him? The one who cracked jokes? The one who wore jeans instead of slacks? The one who knew him before he ironed out all his habits and rewrote himself into an impressive fiancé? The engagement party was tomorrow. I wasn't even sure I wanted to go before this message, but being forbidden stirred a different instinct. The kind that wakes up when doors slam in your face. Eventually, I set the phone down, walked to the window, and stared at the glowing city. There were hundreds of stories happening at once: breakups, proposals, lost wallets, found dogs, fights, reconciliations. My brother's story felt like a particularly dull needle in that haystack, except it was mine to tug on. I spent that night lying awake, replaying memories of us as kids, him lecturing me about not touching his comic books, me telling him he snored like a chainsaw. We had annoyed each other in ways only siblings could, but shame? That was new. By morning, the message still sat there, unanswered, cold, looming. I showered, dressed in something plain, and took the train to the venue, an upscale restaurant perched on the second floor of a glass building. My reflection in the elevator door looked like someone preparing for a mild disaster. I wasn't going to burst in loudly or make a scene. I wasn't there to prove a point. I needed answers. And if showing up quietly was the only way to get them, so be it. The restaurant glowed with soft, warm lights. People were chatting, laughing, clinking glasses. A long table was set near the windows, decorated with white flowers and gold-trimmed plates. I slipped inside unnoticed, finding a spot near a potted plant, half hidden, half curious. My brother stood in the center of it all, polished head to toe. Hair slick, suit crisp, expression rehearsed. His smile was the kind that showed teeth but not comfort. He was performing, every gesture calibrated, every laugh a second late. His fiancée, Mira, was the opposite. She wore a simple dress and the kind of smile that didn't need polishing. Her parents were already chatting with strangers, laughing easily, settling in as if the room belonged to them. And that was the odd thing. There was no coldness in the air, no judgment, no stiff posture from her side. They looked like people who enjoyed life, not people who measured it. So, why the message? As the toasts began, I pressed further back into my corner. One of Myra's uncles recounted a hilarious story about her forgetting her own birthday as a teenager. People roared with laughter. Then Mira herself talked about the night she met my brother, gently teasing him for dropping his keys 3 times while trying to impress her with a smooth exit. Even her parents cracked up. That was the moment my brother flushed. A tiny, unmistakable blush crept across his face. He chuckled along, but his eyes darted around the room searching, maybe for the perfect mask to hide behind. Then he saw me. Our eyes locked across the space. His expression tightened, surprise first, then panic, then something softer, fear. Real fear. He excused himself from the group and walked briskly toward the hallway. I followed at a slower pace, weaving through guests pretending not to notice anything odd. He was waiting near the restrooms, leaning against the wall, jaw tense. "You came," he said, voice low. "You texted," I replied. He sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "I didn't want things to get complicated." "Complicated how?" "You know how you are," he said. "You make jokes, you talk casually, you're comfortable. Too comfortable. They might think we're human." I cut in. He flinched at the word. The tension between us thickened. Every childhood argument, every unspoken insecurity wedged itself between our shoulders. "You think I'd embarrass you," I said quietly. "I think I'm trying to build a life that looks stable," he muttered. "Professional. Mature. Like someone who knows what they're doing." "And you think being related to me ruins that image?" "It might," he whispered. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. It wasn't anger, it was recognition. He wasn't protecting his future from me. He was protecting himself from himself. "You're terrified they'll see the real you," I said. His silence confirmed it. A door behind us opened. Mira stepped out of the ladies' room, pausing mid-step when she saw us. Her eyes moved from him to me and back, and her expression shifted into something curious and careful. "Everything okay?" she asked. My brother straightened instantly, posture snapping into that polished version of himself. But she wasn't looking at him the way he expected. She was looking at him the way someone sees a puzzle finally revealing its edges. And the chapter ends exactly there, with the hallway airtight as a held breath, 3 people, 1 unsent message, and a truth brimming on the edge of unraveling. Mira didn't move closer at first. She stayed a few steps away, reading the moment the way someone reads a room before walking into it. The soft music from the dining hall pulsed in the background, making the small hallway feel like a bubble separate from the rest of the night. My brother gave her a practiced smile. "Everything's fine. Just catching up." She didn't buy it. "You look like you're bracing for impact," she said softly. He swallowed. "No, You're sweating," she added. He wiped his forehead instinctively, which only made it more obvious. I almost felt bad for him, but the memory of his message still weighed on my chest. Mira turned to me. "You're his brother, right?" I nodded. "I've heard a lot about you," she said. "But I didn't know you were invited tonight." "I wasn't," I said. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "Then why are you here?" "Because he told me not to come." A flicker of hurt crossed her face, not at me, but at the idea. She looked back to my brother with a slower, heavier stare. "You told him not to come? Why would you do that?" My brother stiffened. "It's complicated." "It doesn't look complicated," she replied. "It looks like fear." The word hung between them like a spotlight. He ran a hand through his hair, ruining the sleek perfection he'd worked so hard on. "I wanted tonight to go well," he said. "I've seen how your parents are, how confident they seem, how put together your family feels. I didn't want them to think my life was messy." "My family is not put together," she said, almost laughing. "You think confidence equals perfection?" My mother once burned a cake so badly the smoke alarm called the fire department. She stepped closer. "You've been pretending to be flawless around them. But that's not the man I fell in love with." His shoulders dropped. Just a little. She continued, "The man I love is awkward, nervous, and occasionally trips over his own shoes. And I adore that man. I don't adore this performance you keep locking yourself into." My brother looked like a statue finally softening. His eyes were glossy, with something he didn't want to name. "And your brother?" she said, turning to me. "What does he have to do with any of this?" My brother whispered, "He knows me too well." Mira nodded slowly. "So you're afraid that if he's here, he'll accidentally expose the real you? The you you're trying to hide?" He swallowed again. "Yes." She stepped fully in front of him now. "You don't need to hide your real self from me. And you don't need to hide him from my family." For a moment, no one spoke. I finally broke the silence. "You know, I wasn't planning to do anything weird tonight." A tiny laugh escaped her. My brother didn't laugh, but his face relaxed slightly. "You two should talk," Mira said. "Really talk. I'll go tell the guests you're taking a breather." She walked back into the main room, leaving us in the hallway that suddenly felt too quiet. My brother exhaled deeply. "I messed this up." "Yeah," I said, "but not beyond repair." He leaned against the wall again. "I'm scared I'm not enough. Not for her family. Not for this new life." "You don't have to be enough for everyone," I said. "Just be enough for her. And she clearly thinks you're more than that." He looked down at his hands. "I'm sorry about the message." "I know," I said. "Just don't do it again." He nodded slowly, then pushed off the wall. "Will you stay?" "I'm already here," I said. We returned to the dining hall together. People noticed, but no one seemed alarmed, just curious. Myra's parents welcomed me warmly, asking about my job, my hobbies, even telling embarrassing stories about Myra's childhood. My brother watched us from a distance at first, as though checking to see if the universe would collapse. It didn't. At some point, Mira looped her arm through his and whispered something that made him finally smile, a real one, not the polished mask. Later that night, as the guests drifted out and the waitstaff collected plates, my brother approached me one last time. "You being here didn't ruin anything," he said. "It actually made things better." "Imagine that," I replied. He rolled his eyes in a familiar way, the way he used to when I beat him at video games. "Thank you," he said quietly. "You're welcome." We walked out together into the cool night air. The city buzzed around us, full of imperfect people living imperfect lives. My brother's engagement party wasn't flawless, but it was real. And real was enough. The story doesn't end with a dramatic twist or a meltdown or a family feud. It ends with a brother finally taking off the armor he didn't need in the first place. And that's the part the audience will remember.